think we are good to go. So hello, everyone. On the behalf of my colleagues at School Professional Study, we would like to thank you for joining us for our first Leadership Series event for the 2023-2024 academic year. My name is Faisal Akkawi. I am the Executive Director of Information System Programs here at Northwestern School of Professional Studies, and I've been with the school for about 20 plus years now. Joining us today, three of our elite professors who also happen to be the subject matter experts and industry leaders in the subject of digital transformation, cloud computing, data science, and AI. Professor James DeMarco is a business leader and digital transformation strategies practitioner. He have designed, developed, and taught a few of our digital transformation courses, including enterprise data transformation strategies, and currently in the process of building enterprise architectural course. Professor Amol Chapla, Principal Cloud Solution at Microsoft. He have also designed, developed, and implemented and taught our data science and AI courses and the undergraduate. And our Professor Sunil Kakade, System VP of Enterprise Data and AI at Common Spirit Healthcare. He have designed, taught many of our courses, including data science, AI, digital technologies, to name a few. I'm hoping this will be a sort of an interactive session. If you have any specific questions about any of these subjects, please feel free to put it in the chat and I will address it. So gentlemen, welcome and thank you for being with us today. Let me kick off the meeting by asking each one of you to spend about 45 seconds to a minute. Tell us a little bit about your day-to-day job that pertains to the topic today. We'll start with Sunil and then we'll go to Amol and then Jem. Sunil, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Akkawi, and I appreciate inviting us to this tech talk. So, day-to-day job I'm a healthcare executive, leads data and analytics and digital transformation AI initiatives for one of the largest nonprofit organization in the US. And my work is very connected to the mission of my organization, which is like healthier life for all. And technology plays very, very important into that. And very specifically, data and AI type of and digital technologies play even crucial role. My job is to enable these technologies to bring better patient outcomes, improve providers' experience. Care providers have a lot of burden on them right now. We're trying to help them, and also advance research to find the treatments and diagnosis and for the conditions that we don't have any solution. So it's fascinating work. I'm happy to share a lot of my experiences as well as in answering any questions we have.
Thank you, Sunil, and thank you also for being one of our elite professors. And you also have hired a few of our students within Common Spirit. So for that, I also thank you.
Yes.
Amol.
Hello, Dr. Akkawi. Thanks for the opportunity, and hello, everyone. So my day-to-day work at Microsoft is to work with some of our largest financial industry customers in the country to understand their challenges, whether it's an insurance customer, banking customer, a capital market customer, to understand their challenges with the business processes and help them reimagine these processes, whether it's to provide a better customer experience, better financial products, better insurance products, and help them innovate futuristic products, and along the way, help them achieve that using the latest in cloud and AI technology using the Microsoft platform. So part of that role, I really work with them to design and build cool things.
Wonderful, thank you. Jim?
Thanks, Dr. Akkawi. Yeah, so Jim DeMarco, I have the privilege actually of working with Amol from time to time as our roles overlap sometimes at Microsoft. So I'm also with Microsoft. I look after our global strategy for the insurance industry, and particularly our insurance advisory practice, which is the folks who actually go look at digital transformation with insurance companies. Now, because insurance touches everything, we have the facility and the ability to sort of see across the patterns that look across everything from farming to how you get in the car and come to work every day. So from our perspective, we have a real privilege to have sort of a front seat at what is happening across many industries with respect to digital transformation.
And I love that too. And I love the experience and the talking to you guys as industry leaders and professors who teaches in our course at the same time, because if there is anything that shortens the gap or closes the bridge between the talent gap and what's being taught in the classroom and the industry, it is you guys. So Jim, since you have the floor, let me start by you. Will you kick us off by telling us a bit about the digital transformation, what it is, how has it evolved in the past few years with respect to the AI and cloud computing?
Sure. So digital transformation, a lot of people put emphasis on the word digital, but digital is actually the adjective. Transformation is the noun. Transformation fundamentally, digital transformation is sort of business transformation due to or leveraging digital technologies. So it is a thing that is with us, but it is really about the evolution of the businesses or the business institutions themselves. In the past 20 years, we have witnessed two seismic events that have really accelerated transformation as we know it. One was the pandemic in 2020, which disrupted ways of working in manners we're still not catching, which is one of the reasons why many of us on this call are taking this call from home today. It made Zoom a household name, for example. But another seismic change happened, and there was actually a specific date, November 20th, 2023. It's when OpenAI released ChatGPT on the world. It was a bit of a coming out party for generative AI. It was a bit of a coming of age party for cognitive AI. It is a tech release that made OpenAI a household name and taught the world the word generative. In the last year, AI has gone from being an operations, back road, back office, product roadmap discussion to a boardroom priority. And that has caused an enormous rippling effect across industries. We see the desire and demand to simplify operations, the construct of improving customer engagement, but also supporting the humans who are doing our businesses. DT is not optional anymore. It really is a question of existential operation growth and existential survival, really, for many businesses, where the cost of innovation now is always universally less than the cost of not innovating. I think that's a fundamental seismic shift, and largely driven by the fact that cloud has made everything ubiquitously available, and AI has made things a whole lot easier to do.
So I agree with you. The pandemic has expedited the adaptation of technology across every industry, healthcare in particular, because healthcare was the one that's lacking the technology adaptation in the past. So they found themselves to be in a bad dilemma. So Sunil, how did you guys, especially in healthcare, have taken this digital transformation and adopted within healthcare? Can you give us real life examples on how you guys have used this technology to disrupt the healthcare industry?
So to Jim's point, the pandemic does help accelerate digital transformation in healthcare industry, which is highly regulatory industry, and telehealth is it's a common now. There are still a lot more telehealth visits happening in the industry, but just to go back to 1 decade back, AI is not anything new. It's been more than 10 years AI is being used, but the AI that time was mostly like a predictive in a nature, like or like I would say a discriminative AI, where you have good, bad, like risk, low risk, high risk, and we have been doing that. If you really look at the disruption that started coming within healthcare, with the main ROI about saving time of making decisions with AI began a few years back with AI solutions built using computer vision, like neural networks, convolutional neural networks. And if you really look at like what FDA has approved so far, they have approved 690 AI solutions that one can use into workflow, and majority of them are in radiology space that can help people detect the stroke symptoms sooner. So every minute you can find the stroke sooner, you can save person's life, or prevent damaging the any other organs. There are use cases like sepsis, which is #1 killer infection that happens when people get into hospital. And it's, again, time sensitive. Sooner you detect, you have a chance of saving the person. So AI, I'll tell you, if you have to take one thing from this talk, take that like AI is going to help us gain a time, whether it's a business operation or healthcare operation. And that's what we are looking. And that's how we are, using this disruption in a positive way to save lives.
Have you guys thought about the one app that really fits all within healthcare, where I could just have that one app? We're talking about digital transformation, integrating that into the healthcare. Are you guys working on or in the make where you have that one specific app that takes you that I could get my results in, my doctor's information, everything to be within there? Is healthcare is addressing that point?
So technologically, people have tried that, and that is possible. Many organizations are trying to build such Uber apps, but it's complex. It's very complex. For example, Google is coming up with this model called MedPalm 2, where they are taking the, all clinical knowledge base and training the model. That model is passing USMLE exam, which actually doctors write to become a doctor, with 86% rate. But that is not a reasoning. You can do pattern recognition. You can do, recall of a knowledge. Those part of AI is fine. We are getting there. But in order to do a full clinical decision support or like action, just like self-driving car drives by itself, we are way farther from that. Human will be always in the loop. But good news is that human will get benefited from augmented knowledge from generative AI technologies. And one thing, if I may add, like, what is big deal about generative AI? Like, big deal about, especially for the healthcare people, right? Is, until now, like, we have to use computer and keyboard, and you have to type questions or use a mouse and click here and there. Your interface now to the system is English. Okay, you can ask the simple question in English and you get answer in English. So this is a new user experience that is going to dramatically change, especially in healthcare, the type of application we build. And someday in future, you will have 60 to 70% capability of Uber app, that what you are describing, but human will be always in the loop.
Got you. Shedding some lights on the future and the anticipated future landscaping of AI and digital transformation. So I want to switch gears to Amol and see your vision. And I want both of you and Jim to also weigh on that. What is the future landscaping looking like for AI and digital transformation, especially after the Biden administration have signed the executive order of limiting what we can do? And the European Union, over this past weekend, they came up and they proposed the first law of restricting the things that we can do with AI. So, Amol, what's the anticipated future landscape for AI and digital transformation?
Yeah. So starting with, what Sunil mentioned, right? Some of the challenges and the limitations that we had with the traditional AI in terms of reasoning across diverse data set, whether it's images, documents that we have, or medical reports, right? Textual data, our conversations with the doctor, or whether it's through the video, through the phone, right? So this multimodal data and ability to reason across that, AI is finally catching up where now, for example, GPT vision model is able to reason across this diverse data set, right? So the AI is finally getting there. So what we are going to see in the next, 2 to 5 years is AI is expected to become even more ingrained in every business processes and consumer experience, right? Whether you are looking at personalized recommendations to automated customer service, we will see AI usage exponentially increase in next few years. And with this expansion, we will see a shift in the job market and an opportunity for upskilling as well. What we'll see is this need for skills around applied generative AI, which involves taking these pre-built large, powerful models and having it do the things to support a specific business use case, specific customer experience needs, right? So instead of creating these traditional AI or machine learning models, the skill requirement will shift to more of how to leverage this large language powerful models using prompt engineering, chain of thought, and other techniques. What we'll also see there is democratization of AI platform and tools. So it's much more easier to create and deploy these AI-powered applications in an user-friendly way. So you will no longer need a deep development or data science expertise to consume these powerful models, right? And that's where you will see a low-code, no-code platform evolution to enable that need for various business. And the last thing I would mention, which is really important to what you said around the laws and regulations within the US and the European Union, is as AI becomes more prevalent, ethical considerations and governance will become much more important, right? Where we will need to establish AI guiding principles that everyone is aligned to, so the AI is fair, it's transparent, it's explainable, right? So there will be an evolution of both our requirements, government requirements, as well as the tools and the platform that will align AI technology to help different organizations do that in a compliant and a safe way.
Thank you. Jim, any thoughts?
Yeah, I would like to jump on that idea of responsibility. I'll try to keep it a little bit about sort of roles. We're going to see a fundamental shift. In fact, we're already seeing a fundamental shift away from sort of knowledge management and knowledge ownership. Sort of, remember, we had the knowledge-based economy since the 1960s. Because AI has enabled us to do an awful lot more of simplifying access to knowledge. The internet helped. That's great. Awesome. We're seeing AI do things like summarize now. We're seeing potentially the roles change around being an expert on knowledge of what our content is, probably not as important a role. Being an expert on what our processes are, less important, but still there. Being an expert on what our business strategy is, understanding how to act responsibly, understanding how I work with people and with the technology in a manner to put the proper guardrails in place, increasingly important. So as we see ourselves with people who are running businesses, we're seeing a shift in talent pool and a shift in organizational focus that we fundamentally have to fill gaps on now. Which is one of the reasons why we're talking about this particular curriculum at Northwestern, is precisely because we're seeing that shift in talent need.
Thank you. Sunil?
So I'm going to take on what like Jim mentioned at the end, like the talent is the game in this space. Okay, technology is becoming normalized. It's commodity. Models are becoming more sophisticated. So with the digital transformation, we need to focus on talent transformation. So what does that mean? Software is still going to be built. New architectures are coming, new frameworks are coming. But as technology becomes more powerful, we need to have a talent that understands the responsibility of handling these tools and technologies. Like when you build AI solution, I'm looking at some of the questions: governance, the quality, explainability. That is where the center of gravity will start moving. Until now, we were living in the era of like engineers do a lot of build work. Now, like engineers will start moving, not only just build, but build it responsibly, build it, with fault tolerance, that nothing can go wrong with the powerful technology. Again, like going back to the course and contents that Northwestern thinks is, other than like typically taking something on Coursera, is how do you adopt these technology responsibly? That creates a trustworthy solutions for the industries like ours, like healthcare.
Well, since you and Jim brought it up to education, let's bring the conversation back to education for a second. But let me share this, because we have OpenAI. I use it personally. I use it. Our students use it. You in the industry using it. And I want to bring the conversation is, how do we use it in education, and what is the advantages and disadvantages of using it in education and in the movement of the students in education, and they move into the industry. But let me share this thought before I ask my question. In 1984, I took this circuit board design, and my favorite teacher, Terry Taglavi at the time, is almost 40 years ago. She gave us this design board, and I probably spent 200 hours on that design board. I thought it was the most ultimate design it could ever exist. I submitted on Friday. I get a B on Monday, and she made a comment. She says, "This looks fine. It would work, but this is not. You could have took it to a different level." That comment stuck with me for almost 40 years. Every time I do something, I ask myself, is there a different level that I could go to? If there was some sort of OpenAI at the time and it created a design for me, I probably would have got an A, but I probably missed that muscle in the brain that taught me how to engage myself and how to become better throughout this 4 decades. And the problem is now is in education, we have this OpenAI. As a faculty in the classroom, the students are using OpenAI. And in the industry, you're trying to solve a real life problems. And we do appreciate you guys bringing the problems into the classroom. So what are the disadvantages of using OpenAI? What are the responsibility that fits on the faculty's shoulder and the student's shoulder in using these tools to enhance their life rather than hurting them? So Neil, I'll start with you.
So, no, that's a great question. So you got to think about like this, it's innovation. It's going to disrupt our life. 100 years back, we had horses and carriages. They were doing transportation. Then, we started getting automobile. Now we have electrical vehicle. And if you come in Phoenix area, you have self-driving car. You just like Uber, you come, there is no driver, they will drive you. What's happening in this journey is basically some part of automation is going to the next level. So earlier it was automation of power. Now it's automation of knowledge. And now we are entering into the automation of intelligence. Okay, so to me, we do not want to have, it depends. Will you start using ChatGPT in 1st grade or 3rd grade or 5th grade? I would say no, but if you're at graduate level, right? And, at graduate level or undergrad level, your college, and you want to expand your intelligence span, then why not? You do it. For example, in a course, I may be able to get in 10 weeks time, 10 AI models today. If I use generative AI and other AI technologies, and if I can have students instead of 10 to a 25 model, their experience is enhanced. So it's all going to come down to why we are using it. Okay. We need to have conviction that this is going to improve the productivity and quality of person who is going to use the next level of AI. But if you just want to do on a very basic work, which is mediocrity or kind of a bureaucracy, and we want to put humans to go through that, we could use their time better by giving them OpenAI or Gen AI tools and use them where they can be challenged. Like in your example, why not go to the next level of circuit by giving them opportunity and that time back than repeating the bureaucratic or mediocritic tasks.
Thank you.
I hope that clarifies. Yeah.
Thank you. Jim, any thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, quite a few actually. I'm reminded of an early Simpsons episode where they automated the nuclear power plant, and all Homer had to do was sit at home, and there was a little line on the screen that said, "Press any key," and he kept looking around. Where's the any key? Where's the any key? Oh my God! This is part of the challenge of using of technology in many respects. Is it can become a crutch if you're not using it, appropriately. However, it is also an incredible tool. And one of the things that Professor Kakati, he talked about that AI in education. We're teaching people in our role to be leaders in business and technology over time. It would be the height of chutzpah at our level to say, you shouldn't use the technology now. There are certain things about it, though. Fundamentally, AI, the automation of knowledge being shifted with systems now and summaries to the automation of intelligence. I am totally stealing that line from you. But one of the things that it provides is the ability to summarize and create knowledge by understanding what's the next word in a sentence. If we are at our level asking knowledge questions, then we're kind of missing the point. We need to be at the point of asking the right questions. The thing that the skills we need to develop now are about insight and asking the appropriate questions of systems so that we can think about the things that technology cannot. And so as I see it, there's a fundamental shift in our mindset around how do we teach by saying we need to focus in on making sure that people are able to ask good, hard questions and use the technology to provide sort of the things that technology is really good at, finding the right knowledge at the right moment.
But that's require heavy burden on the students themselves. So if you find yourself as a student in this era, that you have to say, how do I use these tools, and not just take the question, put it in ChatGPT, get the answer, and that's what it is. The process of the thinking also relies on the students to do their part of that responsibility.
Yeah, this is not getting easier. This is getting more insightful. But that's also we're at a spot now where students today can really kick it to the next level across industries, institutions, and so on, where students, 30 years ago when I was a student couldn't do because we were still trying to, put the Lego pieces together. We're really at a spot now where we can kick it to the next level, but that requires a certain amount of responsibility to start asking hard questions, and that's a different way of learning. Yeah.
So let me ask one more question. So all of you are in the classrooms, are in the industry as well. So some of you have taken our students and placed them into the industry. So what advice would you give the students in using that open AI? How is it going to hurt that student in the transition from the classroom to the industry? Can you anticipate a scenario where a student will use the tool blindly? Because we know ChatGPT is nothing more than looking at history and data and trying to solve a problem. But the problems are the students will face in the industry are unique and new, And a lot of them, they don't even exist in the database where the ChatGPT can respond to them. So in your opinion, what would hurt the students the most in doing in the classroom that will not translate into real life?
So let me share some studies recently that was done. This is a Harvard Business School and BCG. They did a study. They gave their consultants similar problem, and what was noticed is those who use the AI assistants, their productivity and quality was improved by 40%. Guess what industry wants? Industry wants improvement in productivity, quality, so their bottom line gets improved. So, this is one scenario, like, I'll be happy to hire who is a incredible prompt engineer who can ask brilliant questions to large language models and solves my problem. Okay. So I think it's not going to hurt anything if you use it. We are going through this phase where we are all amused. If ask yourself a question, how many times in a day you go and ask, any of AI assistants a question to do your job? You don't ask every question. You ask when you really need it. Your brain needs that help. So, the damage can happen if student doesn't do any effort and they try to go and do everything through the AI assistant. Then basically, it's as good as I'm hiring AI assistant, not a person. So the caution for students is use this technology responsibly. But, you should be able to walk when your car is stopped on a freeway to survive. So don't lose the muscle memory and the memory of the basic things that you need to do thinking. Use it to advantage to advance your thinking, not like, to make a weakness of, outsourcing your thinking to AI assistant.
Yeah. And, to build on that, one advice I would give to students is use AI, right? Generative AI to be specific, because that is going to be part of the job. But at the same time, understand that it's going to be your co-pilot. It's going to augment your ability there. So with that, are you able to understand what AI is producing, what AI is doing, or what AI is not doing, what it's doing wrong? If you are not understanding that, then you are missing out. Then AI is now driving your thinking versus other way around. So you want to be in a situation where you thoroughly understand the concepts, whether it's educational concept or a business problem you're trying to solve. Use AI as an assistant, and you should be in control to verify what it's giving you, what it's writing the code, what suggestions it's providing you, so you can verify where it's doing things correctly and where you need to do that 5%, 10% modification for it to do the things that you're looking to do. If you are able to stay in control, then AI is going to be at your advantage. But if you don't know what AI is doing, and if you're simply blindly taking AI's output and plugging somewhere, it's going to fail you when the system gets complex and bigger.
Yeah. Jumping on this, there's a great real world example that blind reliance on a tool, whether as a student or as a professional, is usually not a good call. There's a relatively famous case in the paper about a lawyer who filed a brief in a court that he generated with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT just made up the case law. That's usually not a long walk to getting yourself embarrassed in the newspapers for months and made it the subject of several professors' stories on how not to use AI. There is a certain element there of understanding, though. If we want to use the tools, we understand what they're good at and what they're bad at, and where they are. The Army has a saying, if all you have is a hammer, certainly everything starts to look like a nail. And I think there we sort of understand that the tools have limitations and capabilities. The place where we see, particularly in the area of generative AI, is that you have to actually do things like ground your data. You actually have to understand what problem you're trying to solve, and you have to have the ability to prompt engineer. Prompt engineering is about asking the right questions. It still circles back to your original question, Dr. Akkawi, it circles back to you have to be able to understand I can't just rely on the tool to get me across the class or to get me an answer that I can then throw in front of somebody. I actually have to use it in the context of my making a decision.
From a student perspective, technology is changing so fast, and we've seen how fast it changes.
Yeah.
And our type of students, there's a lot of students here in the listening to us today. 50% of our students at School Professional Study, they are career changers. They moving from one field into the other. So a student comes in, and it usually takes them about 2 years at minimum to finish the degree, if not 3 or 4. And when they start, there are certain tools in place, there are certain skills needed, but these skills are changing. So I am, as students, going forward, what can you tell me about the uncertainty of these skills and what the market needs? I'll start with Sunil, and then we'll shift.
So the best form of learning now is going to be unlearning. So why do you come to the institution like ours, right? You come here to learn, to adopt these type of changes. So learn, unlearn, learn, unlearn. I mean, we all have seen how many times databases comes, like, 10 years back when I met Dr. Akkawi, it was Hadoop was the talk of the town, right? Anybody talks about Hadoop? No. It's a cloud has dominated. The cloud technology has come, and cloud continuously evolving, becoming more productive. So the idea is like, it's in mindset, okay? 3 things I always say, like tool set, skill set, mindset. The tool and skills, especially tools, they will keep changing, okay? But that's not your knowledge. The perception right now we all have is, oh, I know this tool, that means I know this technology. That is what brings uncertainty. Start with a mindset. What is a mindset? You are a problem solver. You are an engineer. You are here to build softwares and solutions. And you have a skill, which you know how to architect, you know how to build, how to test. And then you happen to use tools. The automation that is happening now and the footprint that is shrinking is the tools. Tools are becoming no code, low code. You can just, some of the students in my class in 10 weeks of time, they build a professional looking product with very minimal line of codes. So there is nothing to be uncertain now. In fact, like it's opposite, I would say, because you have whole range of skills with you, like going back to Jim's point, with $300 of a credit, you can get an account on a cloud. You can use whatever services you need. You can build a product and you can go to the market. If you have a brilliant idea, you are as competitive as anybody who is in Seattle or California with $1 billion in investment. So change the mindset, have conviction. Many of our courses get started on the cloud. AI is a part of our life now. And with those 2 things, you can drive transformation anywhere.
Thank you. And there's a question in the chat that Jim responded to, and we're responding to your questions in the chat. And thank you guys for responding. The question, and I'll let Jim address it since he responded to it. And in many conversations, especially a few I remember with Sunil in the past, you said, I rather a person who has multiple skills rather than one person has one deep skill in one thing. So Jim, what are these skills that you put into the chat to Renee? What are the major skills that someone needs to acquire as a student to survive in the industry these days?
So one of the key things that we should think about, let me come at it from a couple of perspectives. I put it into the chat, so I think everybody can see what I wrote in the chat, but let me sort of highlight it in a broader concept. We need to be able to develop mindset skills around being flexible and adaptable, sort of mindset-wise first. I know that sounds really soft. It's actually quite hard and framed in many respects. Our ability to think about processes and problems, starting with what is the problem I'm trying to solve, what is disrupting, where I'm, what are the influences, and then how do I systematically hypothesize and work my way to solution. That's a fundamental skill set that will carry people across whatever role, whatever industry, technical or business side of the business. Why? Because that's the skill of continued learning in a digital environment. And one thing we know now, and one thing that generative AI has really just, pounded into our heads in the last 12 months, is that the world of 3 years ago is not the world of today. The world of today is not going to be the world of 3 years from now. So we need to be career-wise ready with those fundamental mindset skills, and then the skills to be able to adapt ourselves to problems and technologies as they evolve. So point one to the point. The ability to act quickly and the ability to act incrementally are key skills that we're seeing, particularly in the IT space. Why enterprise architecture is actually something that is increasingly important, but as a strategy role and less as a technology implementation role, less as a design and more of a delivery and governance kind of construct. Knowing how to make AI work by understanding where it is, that's another key element of that. But that again is mindset, understanding, thinking about business processes. Let me put it sort of this way. Jobs of today that are likely to go away. People who just answer questions. Sorry, tech can do that. People who just move things along the process. I'm sorry, Homer Simpson's kind of push any button, jobs that will fundamentally change. Knowledge workers will actually get stronger with co-pilots and being able to answer questions more efficiently. Jobs that will accelerate will be things like user experience design, architectural design, ethics and responsible governance, because those are pieces that are fundamentally enabling that shift towards speed and flexibility.
When you say mindset and you say this is soft, it is soft, but it's so complicated for me. It is probably one of the most difficult things to do. And I remember one of the hardest things in developing the digital transformation specialization within the MSIS, I didn't know where to start. So I remember Sunil making it easy for me. He says, I'll break it down to you into 3 different things. And I quote him, he says, well, there's the mindset, there's the tool set, and there's the skill set, and then we could build from there. I said, fine. But so how do we develop the mindset, Sunil? Talk to me like I'm a 4-year-old. Simplify it for me, because a lot of our students are adult students, and changing the mindset. While it seems simple, but it's one of the most complicated skills. Is how do you change the mindset? Where do you begin? How do you begin? How do you train yourself?
I think there are 2 types of mindsets, right? Like, you have growth mindset and you have mindset with a constraint. And, it depends like how we evolve. So when you come to school, and if I say, you can only do this on, Windows 95 operating system with the PC 286 computer, like, those are the constraints that we have when we operate under the constraints. And every answer that is coming out of our minds at that time is designed to meet with those constraints. So keep the mindset of abundance, because technology, the knowledge, it's all available in abundance right now. You can go and take it. And I will go back to that. The best way to start changing your mindset is do not treat the learning and skill that you have is going to be sufficient enough for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Okay. Because you cannot expect with static intelligence that you have in your head, you can compete with growing knowledge that is happening in the industry. So the first thing, begin that saying, the learning that you have has expiration date, and I have to continue to learn. The moment you switch that thumb, I think you are entering into the adaptable, changeable mindset. And the first most important skill I always look in a person if I'm hiring is person coachable. Is person coachable? Can you play at a different position in a game? If you can, good, because technology could change. I may just move from one technology to another technology. Will that person sustain? So that's the answer about like the mindset. Don't restrict yourself that what you learn right now is enough for your career.
So piggyback on that question, my next question is to Amul, and then you and Jim could weigh on that, is if you're asking me to be adaptable and continue learning, that means some of the stuff that I already know that I'm not going to need. What are the jobs lost? Which skills that I'm not going to need 2 to 5 years? Which one should I hold on to as we go into the future? Do you anticipate certain jobs? I'm sure there will be many eliminated, but can you shed some lights on some of these jobs or skills that's not going to be eliminated?
Yeah. So one thing that is driving with AI is the accelerated adoption of the cloud platform. The new generative AI capabilities, it's only available on the cloud platform. It is not feasible technically or financially to even have this available in customers' traditional data centers, right? So with that, we see a shift in skills to know the cloud technology, know the AI technology, right? So the traditional jobs which spent a lot of time in traditional data center infrastructure, that is going to adapt more towards the cloud technology, right? Now, the second shift we are going to see is the data science knowledge and the jobs. There are a lot of jobs which focuses on the traditional data science process to build custom machine learning and AI models, right? Start with your custom data, analyze it, build the models, test it, and go through the full life cycle. That is going to shift gradually towards using off-the-shelf large language model, large multi-model AI, where you are now simply customizing these models to have it perform the task instead of building your new AI ML model. So you will see a shift there, and with that, you will have to learn the cloud tools and platform to use these large language models versus build it. So those are the two key shifts we will see accelerate in next, I would say, 3 to 5 years.
Thank you. Jim, you are in the industry and you are facing clients and you help them adopt the technology. How do industry, many of our students, they are in the professional industries as well. They are working industries. So in your opinion, from your experience with your client, how do industry professionals face challenges in this adaptation of the new technology? What are some of the major problems that these people you see they are facing in adopting this new technology?
It's sort of funny. We've talked about this in particularly AI as being a fundamental game changer, and in many respects it really is. But Alphonse Carr, the old management guru, said the more things change, the more they stay the same. And in many respects, that's true again here. The changes that we see, the need to understand that we're seeing that has to really change, is we actually have to rethink the processes that we're doing in our businesses generally. And so the things that I typically will see whether it's an insurance carrier or a railroad, and talk to a lot of folks, ask me is, boy, can I use this AI to really just make this process that I've got go better? And I'm like, well, yeah, but you can speed up a dumb process every bit as much as you can speed up a smart one. Maybe the problem is you need to rethink your processes. And this is where fundamentally we see this change in technology and also change in skill set. One of the reasons why we're talking about flexibility, learnability, coachability, is that we now have, with the facility of AI, the opportunity to rethink processes that we have held dear and near to ourselves for decades. Professor Chafla mentioned, about the shift from data centers to the cloud. How many people determined that it would, 20 years ago, that their entire life's goal was to become a data center manager? Oops. There's a change there, because that fundamentally has changed, because the technology has enabled a different business or process paradigm. The same is now applying in a number of different places across processes. Generative AI enables us to rethink this in a lot of areas, whether it's like call centers. We really rethink how we actually interact with our customers, where we can actually make it a lot easier for people in call centers to do their job. There's an element of understanding that we need to shift away from getting really deep on an individual capability to thinking more systemically about our processes. Great example here is that we're seeing a shift away from specific engineering skills to full stack engineering. That was a debate that's going on for decades. That debate may well be solved now. It may be that we have to be full stack engineers. Why? Because you know what? The technology in any given area is moving too fast for us to do anything otherwise.
It is so true, and that speaks to the earlier questions, the skills, that for that reason, I've added 2 courses, one undergraduate and the undergraduate, of full stack, because it really requires people to have multiple skills. But one of the things that we've seen in the industry, we saw the blockchain technology, where it want to decentralize things. But my question, which is the same technology to Amul, is how do the role of this OpenAI, cloud computing in general, plays in the centralization of digital transformation within a business? Are we centralizing things, or are we decentralizing things? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to steer more towards decentralizing it, mainly because of the democratization of AI technology and the platform. It's going to not require deep technical expertise to harness the power of these large language models. Therefore, now different business units can use this technology, these models, to quickly bring their ideas to life, prototype it, market test it much more quickly without relying on their core, deeply technical resources. So we will see this pattern where they can start with an idea to prototype in matter of weeks. To Sunil's point, students able to do very high grade products within 8 to 10 weeks. We will see similar pattern become more pervasive as we look at the future.
Thank you. And we're running down on time. We're about 7 minutes. And there are so many questions in the chat, and we're responding to as many as we can. But there's one thing I want to address, is the ethical component of the AI in general. And then I'm going to ask each one of you to give one last advice to these students, as far as, you could use your imagination and what they need to focus on. What do you think the most important thing that you want these students to walk away from? But let's start with ethical components of AI. I'll start with Sunil. Are you with more laws? Because personally, I'm against the Biden executive order. I think we should let the OpenAI develop. Before we don't know what it's capable of yet, what the full potential is. Yet the governments, United States started, European Union started, now followed in putting restriction on the use and how to use it. How do we control the ethical component of it?
Yeah, so let's just go back to what is ethics, right? So as a technology person who is building products, ethics starts when I start sitting in a conference room with the engineers building the product, but I am representing the person who is not in that room, that is, who is the user of that. Okay, if I can protect their rights, I can protect, their vulnerabilities. Then we are talking about ethics. So, if I just capture this extra data element, I can make $1 million. Is that right thing to do? So ethics, I would say that like ethics is going to become very important, subject to learn in no matter like, what specialization you are taking, because the consequences of getting this wrong is huge. Your subject is a human. You're really going to hurt somebody. So you need to start putting some basic guiding principle and, make that clear for anybody that like, these are the guiding principles. Like, for example, do no harm should be your number one guiding principle. At no cost, you should use technology to harm anybody. The second thing is privacy matters. If I don't want my data to be used for training, I should not use training. Look, a lot of times these regulations, they come in, they become ineffective because they are designed for some hypothetical scenarios and those constraints in mind. And I don't know how do you catch up. In last 1 year, from GPT-3, we went to 2025 large language model. How are you going to govern those 25 large language models? And every day there is a new one comes in that will beat the regulation that you set yesterday. So my point, Dr. Akkawi, is first time, like in technology world, if I'm designing anything, I would start with ethics. Then I will talk about because technology has already advanced to the point where it's efficient, it's a cost effective. I just paid less than a penny to make an API call to do a classification of a picture. It's already so economical. So that's why like ethics should be at the top of the world.
Thank you. Jim?
I love disagreeing with my program lead. I actually like the Biden administration's thing. And one of the reasons for it is the reason why it stands. It's there because it identifies the need to have a responsible approach to what we do, whether or not they get it right. Regulation has never been good at keeping pace with tech, ever. I don't think it's going to keep pace with tech anytime soon, in this case either. But setting out the principles that we need to support humans first, the planet first, those around us first, and put those frameworks around the decisions and how we use technology, that's, I think, a fundamental element of how we deploy. To Sunil's point, this is exactly what we need to be teaching out the gate in terms of what skill sets we need, but also when we work on projects together. It's why every company we work with, we recommend the creation of some responsible governance model around it. You can't just sort of let it go. You have to put frameworks, and you can't just have that framework stop once the AI is released to the wild. You need to actually have continuing, ongoing monitoring. That's a key fundament of how we look at it. That's also a key fundament of what we think Northwestern students should come out of a Northwestern education with. It's not just having an open mindset or growth mindset around what we can do, but it's also about putting good frameworks around what we should do.
Thank you. Amul, you got 30 seconds.
I agree. There is need to have a common guiding principles to use AI in how we build and roll out AI-powered system. So it's fair, it's transparent, and it's explainable, right? So there is clear need, whether it's at the industry level or government level, to have that alignment that is enforceable.
Thank you so much. We are time. I know there are quite few questions in the chat we did not get to. All of our faculty, Sunil, Jim, and Amul, are on our website. Their emails, contact information there. If you really want that answer, your question answered, please email us, and we will definitely get back to you. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. Thank you guys for joining us. I know you guys are busy and you take the time. It's a pleasure being with you guys today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.